Man, what's good, YouTube? I got something to tell y'all real quick. I got something very important to tell y'all real quick. So, your boy reacted to a video ranking the 50 states worst to best, right? And I was gonna post it before I went to sleep, and I'm kind of tired. I'm not gonna lie.
What was the 50th state?
I got work in the morning. The 50th state. I'm trying to remember. The 50th state.
Was it Maine?
No, it wasn't Maine. What do you say? I want to rewatch it, but I already watched it, so my reactions are gone. But I'm an idiot. Your boy had the webcam on and wasn't sharing the screen. Like, I wasn't sharing the video, so it was just me the whole time. And I'm tired, and you know we all make mistakes when we're tired. I couldn't even get my outro out, y'all. You know what I mean? But I'm not going to sleep without uploading the video. I'm not going to sleep without uploading a reaction video. So we gonna go here. We gonna go into this and watch this one.
Following 9 states combined. Why do so few Americans live in these empty, isolated states, despite many offering stunning scenery? Find out in... And let's hit 5,000 likes for a video on the largest, emptiest regions of the world. Number 9, Maine. Maine is so far north, the people living here might as well be Canadian. I mean, they're pretty much surrounded by our friendly maple syrup-loving cousins. And the landscape is nearly identical too, with mystical pine forests, glacial lakes, rocky coast, and of course, moose. So why is this beautiful state mostly uninhabited with just 1.385 million residents, especially when compared to other East Coast states? It's simple. The climate. This map shows Maine's population density by area. As you can see, nearly every Mainer lives in the south or along the coast, where the farmland is more fertile and the winters are bearably cold. Winter in the rest of Maine is similar to winter in Game of Thrones. Brutal and never ending. As such, not much industry exists in the vast majority of the state, which is 89% untouched forest. And while Portland is a hip and charming city with great restaurants and a decent economy, Maine is also the most rural state with only 38.7% of the population living in urban centers. So unless you're a trust fund baby who loves driving their snowmobile on Moosehead Lake for the 1300th time, the state just doesn't offer much for young people, who usually leave in their 20s and only think of coming back to retire. The Pine Tree State has the oldest median age at 44.8 years. Number 8, Montana. With the east covered in farmland stretching farther than the eye can see, and the west full of mountains and glaciers that touch the sky, Montana is a dream come true for any would-be cowboys. It may come as a surprise to hear, then, that the state houses just 1.12 million residents, despite covering 147,000 square miles. Yeah, Montana is larger than Japan, yet houses less than 1/100th its population. Why is this big, beautiful state the third least densely populated, with just 7.5 people per square mile? Well, as I'm sure you'll be shocked to discover, most Americans don't want to be cowboys. Millennials and Gen Z want to live near bustling metropolises with good-paying jobs and city amenities. Suffice to say, Montana doesn't offer any of that. The biggest city, Billings, barely has 100,000 residents, and some towns are so remote that the nearest Walmart is a 2 to 3 hour drive away. But you know what Montana does have?
The nearest Walmart is a 2 to 3 hour drive away from Montana. In Montana, the nearest Walmart is 2 to 3 hour drive.
Inflated home prices?
Nigga, so mad. I got a joke. So my grandma loved this store, right? Just imagine we living in Montana. She's like, "Hey Google, I need you to go to the store." Gotta hit a 2 to 3 hour drive to Walmart. Get your groceries and then come back. Oh, hell no, man.
And horrifically cold and windy weather. The negative 70 degrees Fahrenheit recorded at Rogers Pass was actually the lowest recorded US temperature outside of Alaska. And parts of the state see snow 12 months out of the year. So sure, that summer trip to Glacier sounds splendid, but unless you're looking to do a real-life survival challenge on expert difficulty, year-round living in Montana is too unforgiving for most. Number 7, Rhode Island. The only thing Rhode Island and Montana have in common is their population. Because while Montana is massive, landlocked, and full of mountains and wide open spaces, Rhode Island is tiny, coastal, and flat. In fact, it's by far the smallest state at just 1,034 square miles. So although less than 1.1 million people call the ocean state home, that's mostly just due to it being so darn small that there isn't any room for more residents. Rhode Island is the second most densely populated state with 1,061 people per square mile, and nearly the entire state is urban and part of the Providence metro area. The crowded population is slowly decreasing, however, as the cost of living is now similar to New York, and just about everything the state has going for it, another New England state does better. Number 6, Delaware. Delaware is nearly twice the size of Rhode Island, but at just 1,948 square miles, around the same size as the city of Anchorage, it's still exceptionally small. And while Rhode Island's population is boosted by the mid-sized city of Providence, Delaware has Wilmington with an astonishing 70,000 residents. But why does Delaware have no large metropolises, especially since it houses over 2 million corporations? Well, Wilmington could have been a prime candidate, but Philadelphia, just 30 miles upstream, stopped any notion of that since its location was less prone to storms and closer to the other major cities at the time. Not to mention, it was the birthplace of the country, and the rest of Delaware is out of the way of the I-95 corridor and most historical trading routes, so its largely beach tourism-based economy never required any large cities. Plus, the loophole in Delaware that allows companies to pay no state income tax makes sure those companies only conduct business.
Yeah, bro, I need to travel, bro. I'm going to Mexico next summer. Yeah, I'm bringing y'all with me. It's gonna be a vlog. Cancun. We're going to Cancun. Cancun's where it's at, bro.
This in other states, meaning they don't actually create jobs in Delaware. But hey, retirees don't need jobs and love beaches, so they're moving in droves. The population of 1.02 million actually grew by 1.4% over the past year. Number 5. South Dakota. South Dakota, home to Wall Drug, one of America's most famous cultural landmarks. Wait, Wall Drug? What? No, I meant Mount Rushmore. Sorry, after passing literally 200 billboards talking about the place, Wall Drug is most certainly not worth the hype, but impossible to forget. Damn marketing schemes. The fact that Wall Drug is the most exciting thing for hundreds of miles, however, says a lot about South Dakota. It's vast, far from everything, and virtually empty. Not to mention, really cold. And those are the exact reasons why it's the 5th smallest state by both population and population density, with only 909,000 residents. To put that into perspective, South Dakota's surface area is 17% larger than Florida's, yet it has fewer residents than the city of Jacksonville. Historically, most of the Great Plains states had no need for major city centers as their populations were mostly rural and economies mainly agricultural and mining based. But driving through the fields of South Dakota feels so much lonelier than in Nebraska or Kansas. There's just less everything. Houses, farms, truck stops, and semblances of civilization. Number 4, North Dakota. Think of every problem plaguing South Dakota. Now multiply them by 10, add some oil, and boom! You've got North Dakota, home to the darkest, coldest winters in the lower 48. In addition to hot and humid summers and terrible flash flooding during the spring, it's no wonder less than 780,000 residents live in this lonely state, especially since South Dakota is prettier with better weather and tax laws and a more diversified economy. North Dakota is also incredibly isolated from major urban centers, and thus supplies and services. Historically, settlers who traveled west didn't stop until they reached the coast, where the land was more arable, resources more rich, and the climate less harsh. So North Dakota never had large enough permanent population numbers or industry to warrant big cities. And even though there was plenty of cheap farmland, many farmers who could have settled in North Dakota in the late 18 and early 1900s instead chose to settle further north in the Canadian prairies. This is due to the Aspen Parkland Belt, a unique ecosystem in the plains which has an abundance of rain, trees, and fertile soil. Heck, just the city of Winnipeg, 70 miles north of North Dakota, has a population greater than the entire state. Number 3. Alaska. Alaska is the big daddy of states. No, like literally, it's so big that if you cut it in half, either part would still be by far the largest state. Yet despite spanning 665,000 square miles, most of it is inaccessible and isolated. Not only is it a 40-hour, 2,200-mile drive through remote Canada to the nearest non-Alaskan US city, even towns within Alaska are hundreds of miles apart, and many of the largest communities aren't accessible by car. In fact, there are barely 16,000 miles of road in the entire state. That's 5,000 miles less than Connecticut, and you could fit 120 Connecticut's in Alaska. Yeah, they ain't kidding when they call it the last frontier, a land where grizzlies, moose, and wolves walk around town, and where vast untamed forests, coasts, mountains, and tundra combine to make up an area larger than Mongolia. But for all its beauty, the wilderness is also a harsh mistress. A mere 733,000 residents are willing to brave the desolate, long, dark, and frigid winters where -40 Fahrenheit and less than 4 hours of daylight are common. And while Mongolia is both the emptiest and least densely populated country in the world, with just 5.2 people per square mile, Alaska's population density is 1/4 of that. And if you exclude Anchorage, the state's only real city, the population density becomes a paltry 0.5 people per square mile. It's no wonder Alaska has the highest violent crime rate and number of serial killers per capita. There's just so much space to never get caught. Oh dang, I love the outdoors, but you couldn't pay me to live there. Well, you actually do get paid to live here, but you still probably couldn't afford it since everything is more expensive and the economy isn't great. Number 2. Vermont. Besides being known as the home of Bernie Sanders, when most people think of Vermont, they probably picture cozy farmhouses tucked away amongst autumnal colors, with their inhabitants waking up to a blissful chorus of chirping birds and rushing water before lathering some Vermont maple syrup on a hearty breakfast. And they wouldn't be wrong, despite being the 6th smallest state by area.
I just love fall. I love the holidays. Fall is my favorite season, and my birthday's in fall, October 8th. Birthday's October 8th, for y'all who care, and make sure y'all get y'all boys something. But anyways, I'm a very festive dude. I like Christmas. I love the holidays, and that's probably the only time I want it to snow, around Christmas. But you know what I mean. I love Halloween too. I love Thanksgiving. I just feel like them holidays bring a certain type of vibe towards, my family and friends and all that. I don't know. It just feels good around that time. I just love it. The weather's not as bad. I love the fall weather a lot. I love the colors on the trees and all that. Yeah, that's a lot of yapping. Let's go to the video.
Yeah. Vermont is a rural haven in every sense of the word, with just 38.9% of residents living in urban centers. This, in addition to Vermont's mountainous and forested terrain not being ideal for building large cities, is the main reason it's so sparsely populated, with just 647,000 residents. Wait a minute, I just looked at the map. Vermont borders Canada, and so do over half the states on this list. Is the real reason Americans don't live in them because they secretly just don't like Canadians? You might be onto something. But I think the more logical explanation is that Canada is cold, so states that border Canada are also cold, and most people don't like the cold. With that said, Vermont's beautiful scenery, great affordability compared to the rest of New England, and thriving job market in Burlington has turned it into the most moved to state since 2020. So we'll see if it leapfrogs Alaska or North Dakota in the years to come. Now, before we get to number 1, make sure you leave a like and subscribe, and let me know which of these states you'd want to live in the most. And 3 honorable mentions that have larger populations than Maine, but are still virtually empty apart from 1 or 2 major cities, are New Mexico, which houses 2.1 million residents, but since it's also the 5th largest state by total area, its population density of just 17.2 people per square mile is the 6th lowest of any state. And if you exclude the Albuquerque metro area, where nearly half of all New Mexicans live, the rest of the state is emptier than North Dakota. Idaho, whose population of 1.94 million did increase by over 100,000 residents in just the last 2 years, but the state is still very sparsely populated, with the most untouched national forest in the nation and just 22.3 people per square mile. And Nevada, which has a fairly large population at 3.18 million. But did you know that 83% of the state is completely uninhabited and 93% of the state looks like this? Plus, if you took out Las Vegas, whose metro area houses 3/4 of all Nevada, 93% of the state.
Nigga, he just said 93% of the state. Hold on, hey, I'm sorry my webcam's moving. He said 90, unless you want to get up and look at this.
Just show me.
Just show you?
I said just tell me.
Nigga, alright. Nigga, 93% of the state looks like grassland, my nigga. Like there's nothing.
What state?
Nevada. 93%. So, nigga, there's nothing there.
Looks like this. Plus, if you took out Las Vegas, whose metro area houses 3/4 of all Nevadans, the population density would be just 7.7 people per square mile. But without further ado, number 1. Wyoming. Unless you've been living under a rock or in Rock Springs, you've probably heard that nearly no one lives in Wyoming. But nearly no one isn't no one, because while Wyoming is the second least densely populated state with just 5.9 people per square mile, 581,381 hardworking, friendly Wyomingites still endure the windiest weather in America. And let me tell you, as someone who has visited the state many times, living in Wyoming's windy, remote, rugged, dry, cold, windy, elevated landscape isn't for the faint of heart, especially since there's no real cities and very few jobs and services. In fact, if it weren't for the government, Wyoming might not even have an economy at all. 25% of the workforce is employed by the state or feds. But this also makes it one of the safest states to buy a home. And if you want to know the other best states to buy property in 20...
Man. Hey. I learned some stuff. Hopefully y'all learned some stuff. Make sure I leave a like, sub, comment, turn on post notifications so y'all know when I upload again. Make sure y'all go check out these videos, even though probably plenty of y'all probably dead, you know what I mean? I just don't want to get copyrighted. Please don't copyright me. Whatever y'all do, just don't copyright me. I'm too tired. I probably won't remember I even posted this, but hey. Love y'all. Stay blessed. Peace.